Hey guys!
Ryan here.
And Matthew here.
And welcome back to
our channel!
So today's video is a little bit different because we are going to be basically sat down talking to you guys about our coming out story.
And giving you guys some advice on some of the questions we get the most about being a part of the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, so we basically took to all social media channels, Instagram, YouTube and
TikTok.
Yeah, basically we asked you guys basically questions that you guys like want to know, and we are going to answer some of those questions. Before we start, obviously we are not professionals, this is just our opinion and our advice from like two gay men.
And we just want to give back to you guys on what we would do in some of the situations that you tell us about and DM us about, and some of the things that we've experienced ourselves that some of you guys are going through right now.
So finger crossed this helps you guys, because like you guys are our family and we love you guys so much.
Before we get into it, give this video a big fat thumbs up and make sure you subscribe. We're going to give you 3 seconds to subscribe. 1, 2, 3.
And we'll give you 3 seconds to hit the notification button and that like button. 3, 2, 1. And if you do have any other questions about like this kind of LGBTQ plus topics, then please do drop a comment. And if you do know the answer, or you have like, if you want to have your say on what we're discussing, then feel free to make a discussion down below, because we read all these comments and we try and react to some of your videos.
We just want to make it a safe space for everyone. So we're going to start with our coming out stories, and as you guys may know, or you may not know, our stories are completely different.
It's basically yin and yang, so hopefully you can kind of resonate. That's the one I wanted. Resonate with either of our stories on the spectrum. Like mine's very different to Matthew's, and I feel like you hopefully, fingers crossed, take something from like all 2 stories, or just like 1 story.
I basically came out when I was 13, 14 at school.
Which is young.
Some people are always really shocked about that, but I was really fortunate that I had a good kind of friendship community, a good network around me, and everyone was very supportive. And although in comparison to how you'll hear Ryan's story in a minute, it was still hard in terms of the fact that it was a lot of eyes at that young age, and this was a good like 12 years ago, so
things have changed.
Things have changed a lot, which is amazing in 12 years. But coming out gay at school back in 2009-ish, or would have been like 2007-ish.
His age, he's old.
It was a very different time, and people were still very like shocked and didn't really know how to react, and so there were times that I was very uncomfortable, but I was really lucky that I still had quite a good core friendship group there to support me. And then when I was 18, I then came out to my parents when I had my first boyfriend.
Who did you come out to first?
Mum. Never came out to Dad really, because I only ever told Mum, and then it was just a kind of...
I find this really interesting.
She knew, and I feel like everyone around me knew. Like I had Justin Bieber posters on the wall, I listened Rihanna, all that kind of pop stuff. And I feel like everyone knew, and everyone just kind of, I didn't need to tell people, because
I love that though.
It was just a vibe that I think everyone got from me.
A vibe!
And I just feel like I was really lucky in terms of the fact that I didn't have to, I still came out, but I didn't have to come out, even though I did, if that makes sense.
But you always like that fear, even if like you had it like a little bit easier. I feel like there's that fear of like people like, I mean, school's hard. People tend to bully people on anything, so we'll definitely go through this later on in the video. But I feel like even just to come out, you're opening yourself up so much, and it is that like vulnerable like state. Even if you know that you're gonna be, your parents are completely cool with it, you are leaving yourself still like vulnerable. I suppose.
That is the thing. Vulnerability and being scared to be who you want to be is the worst feeling in the world, and a lot of people can't relate to it. So I think when you do talk to people about this kind of thing, a lot of people don't really, they like to think that they understand, but unless if you're going through it, you just don't.
It's very, very hard.
It's so normal to feel like you're alone, but honestly you are not, because there is a massive community out here accepting you.
Yeah. My coming out story is very, very different. So I came out later. I actually came out at the official age of 17. I did tell like a few of my friends previously. Like my best friend I told at school when I was like in like year 11. And then in college I kind of like I came out at what, I don't know, there was no like penny drop. I just remember sitting outside like a photography dark room, and then the guys in my course, we were waiting to be let in, and the guys in the course were like, oh, isn't that girl just like really fit? And they were like, what do you think, Ryan? And I was like, I'm gay. Like, I didn't even think about it.
Do you feel like they were trying to coast you saying?
No, I don't think so, because they weren't my friends. Like, they were just like my... they weren't
acquaintances.
They just, they just were my college... They were just like my college like in my college group, but I think because we were all waiting and they were all so nice, that everyone was nice, they were just like, what do you think? And I was like, I'm gay. So maybe they were, or maybe they were like trying to have like their own like motive, but anyway, I was just like, I'm gay. And none of them, obviously no one was shocked, but they were like, oh, fair enough. I think people are just nosy, people just want to know.
So you felt quite lucky, did you feel quite lucky that they weren't anti-gay or homophobic at the time?
Like, I think so. I think when I came out in college though, everyone's a little bit more like mature. So I feel like school would have been so different because some of these people were in my school, and I feel like if I came out of that school, they would ride that wave of just like bullying someone or like pretending to be gay and be really feminine, immature, and very like, stereotypical. And then when I came out, that was like the first inkling, and I thought that was a weight off my shoulder. I remember I was arguing with my dad and his girlfriend at the time so much. I feel like when you keep something like that in and you can't be yourself.
You're like a pressure cooker because you really want to tell people, you really just want to, even if you don't want to tell people, you want to release something, and it's like building up.
I could never be myself. Like, I already knew I loved makeup and I already knew that I loved certain stuff, but I had to compress that. I think you get to a certain point where you're so done, and it obviously caused so much issues with me and that relationship, and we were arguing, and one day I think it came through the grapevine of me coming out at college, went to my neighbours who were the same age as me, and went to their parents, and my dad must have spoke to their parents, and it all kind of started circling. We were arguing and he was like, are you gay? And before I could even think, 'cause my plan was actually never to come out until I went to uni, so I didn't have to say them face to face. And I think that's actually quite a common thing.
Yeah, a lot of people I feel like do like that, yeah.
And then they come out. But it didn't work, so we argued and I came out and I didn't think, but I don't regret it. And my dad was, I would like just say my dad was always fine. Like, my dad was never like homophobic. He's not homophobic because later in life he's always like supported like our relationship. He treats Matthew like really, really well. Like, he's not homophobic. His girlfriend at the time was, so she was very like religious, didn't like gay people. I don't know if it's because she didn't understand or she was just evil. She was just evil. She was a nasty woman, and my dad unfortunately like kind of stayed with her and took her side, and then kicked me out because she didn't want me in that house. So then I was actually homeless for coming out, and I was homeless for like 2 nights on the street. And then I was lucky enough, like my friends put me up, and then I went into a hostel. And then that was all like a really, really bad vibe, and like that was really awful. But it was awful, but I learned like I could be myself, and I think that's something that I would never change. That I could just completely be myself and not have to answer to anyone. And then I realised that I actually had a really good network community around me. Like, my college teachers like became like so supportive. My friends I knew who my friends were because they really like cooked me dinner, and even my neighbours would cook me dinner like once a week. So I found out that I actually had a family that I didn't even know existed. So
I feel like the negativity really created a massive positivity.
Yeah, 100%.
And if that never happened, you would not be here now.
I would not be at college. I went to college, I wouldn't have been at uni. So my actual teacher was like, you need to leave Daventry and go to uni. So that's where I came out, and that's where I met Matthew. But it was really, really good because I think as soon as it did come out, like, obviously there's like pros and cons. There's people in your life that do bully you, and I think even if you have a really good experience, you're still gonna have that.
Yeah, a lot of people still experience that.
But I think that to be your authentic self, like, for me, was just like the best decision, and like still is the best decision. I look back now and I was like, I was in a safe space and I should have done it, and I always think like, I should have done it ages ago, I should have done it earlier, but it's so scary.
It's so much easier said than done. So if you're sat there watching this, you're like, you're feeling guilty for not being ready to come out, if that's what you want to do not feel guilty, because it is so normal, and you basically just need to take your time. Like, there is no rush for coming out, and I feel like even when if you do have a really negative experience, like as you've just seen,
mine was definitely on the most negative. I don't think you get too much worse.
It was really, it sounds just horrendous, but massive positives do come from negatives, and you wouldn't be where you are today.
100%. Like, you honestly, no matter whatever happened, you will find yourself, and you like I said, you will find a network, a community that you don't even remember you having. And I think the blessing of social media is it's so much easier to find that relationship now. So if you are more like my side, and you like, so maybe like your family like like just not really supportive. Like the social media and the internet is such a blessing.
It's massive. It's just like a massive. The community is so opened up.
And use it to spur you on. Use it to like go to uni. Use it, follow your dreams. Use it to just like live your life.
So we have resorted to filming on the iPhone. This is what life is doing right now.
You're annoying.
So now we're going to go on to probably the biggest question we get. We get all of our live streams, everyone asks this, and that is how to tell my parents about my sexuality. Basically, how do I come out? That is such a big question we get all the time.
And I want to start by saying, well done if you feel like you are ready. And unfortunately, I still feel like it's annoying that I feel like most of us still have that. We have to have that discussion, and I feel like it isn't right that we should have to come out. But I feel like right now in society, that is still like it's just a normal
thing, yeah, like
it's a thing, and like it's annoying, but it is a thing. And I was also just like to say it is really difficult. So like it's okay to feel scared, worried. Like if you feel like you're losing sleep or you're getting really anxious about it, it is so normal. So let us, we need to validate your feelings right now that it is completely normal and it's okay to feel that way. But I feel like the one piece of advice I would give before going into any of it is the fact that it's not a race. So if you're seeing people online coming out living these really open, free, happy lives, and I'm doing this because what you see on social media is completely different to what happens when they get off social media, but I would just say it's not a rush. Like you don't have to be like, I need to be like this person online, or I need to come out at this time. Like it's your journey and no one else is living it apart from you. Every journey is so different, and I feel like everyone gets in that mindset. Like we do it all the time. If someone's our age, we would expect to have the same like path as them on the age range, which I feel like it's just not true. So if you're like sat there and you're 15, 16, 17, whatever your age is, and you're comparing it to someone that maybe you've really confided with, that is also on this journey with you, and they've just come out and you feel like, oh, they've just come out,
I need to do it. There is no rush. You don't need to force yourself out of your comfort zone for a reason that's just to do it quick and get it over and done with.
And you shouldn't feel shame for that. That doesn't mean that you're not like happy with yourself. That means,
or you're any less of a person or anything like that.
It doesn't mean that you're ashamed. It just might not be the right time for you. And I think it all comes down to your journey and your life.
The other biggest point around this whole topic of how you come out to parents is just making sure you do it when you're in a safe space. The safe spacing is the biggest thing. So if you feel like you're not going to be in danger from doing it, and you feel comfortable enough to tell them, then I think that's when you know it's right.
100%.
And I feel like if you come out and there is a negative reaction or a reaction that is less desirable, or you feel like they've rejected you a little bit, just know sometimes that reaction is shock, or that doesn't mean that they don't love you, and that doesn't mean that they think that you are just an awful person for being who you are, because that's not the issue at all. Some of the times parents just go into shock and then they realise when they really think about it how wrong their reaction was, and really there is honestly nothing wrong with you for being you.
And I also feel like Matthew said, it is shock, and it also is probably just a misunderstanding, miscommunication, and also the lack of knowledge. They don't understand, like, so sometimes they go straight into that, and sometimes I know I know that I've seen stories where people do come out and their parents say something, meaning that they're like trying to understand, and it comes across really
rude or wrong. Yeah.
So just know, like, and it's really hard to say, and it's only something that I feel like I've learned recently. But because you're coming out and you're changing your life, it has an impact on your loved ones. So it is that shock where they need to like figure out how they can support you the best way they can support you. So do try to remember that like you have to communicate. Communication is key.
Like, that is the biggest thing. I feel like communication is key.
100% is 100%. I would also go back to kind of what Matthew said about make sure you're in a safe space. I feel like, for me, if I was going to ever say to someone, like, if they feel like, I'm ready to come out to people that you've got a backup in case you need to if you need to go somewhere for the night or go somewhere for an hour just to like diffuse a situation.
Someone you can confide in, whether that's a friend, another family member, or even going to see teachers, anything like that, kind of just talking to people that you feel comfortable with. But what the big point as well that I feel like is really important, if you do come out and you just feel like you're getting such a negative reaction, just know that there is the massive world out there. Like, you probably feel like you're in this like goldfish bowl and the people around you are the only people you know, and you feel like there is nothing else out there. There is a huge world out there, and so many of us, trillions of us that accept you. And look at Ryan's journey, for example. Like, he was kicked out.
Yeah.
He felt like he had no one, and he's been able to really branch out and just, he was lucky enough to be able to go out and meet the other community, and you guys can do that too.
And I feel like that's the thing. I thought when I came out, I thought all my, like, I thought I was in this little circle in a really small town. I thought I had my circle, and like everyone kind of disowned me. And then you realise that there's like new people that come into your life that really truly and wholeheartedly support you and love you for you. So if you feel like, oh my god, there is no one, I've been disowned from my family, I've got no one else.
You are not alone.
You are not alone. So many people have been in the same or similar situation to you, and like I feel like, you know what, the LGBTQ plus community is such an amazing community, because like everyone does love everyone in a sense that they're gonna be there for you and they're gonna be supporting you, and there's tons of resources, tons of like charities of forums, support groups. There's tons and tons and tons of like helpfulness
out there. There's so much, and we will be linking some of the best ones that we know of down below, so go and check them out. They'll be in the link description, and go have a look at some of the resources. Or if you are sat here watching this and this doesn't necessarily apply to you, or you're just watching it because you like watching our videos, share it with a friend, share it with a family member. Even if it might not impact them directly, they could share it on someone else, and it could be like a domino effect, and it could really help just shape someone's outlook, or help someone that's going through this right now.
And if you know someone is going through this, make sure to like be there for them. And going back to kind of like how I would come out, I feel like there's loads of different ideas. I feel like communication is key. I feel like sitting down, I know some people find it easy to text. I think you've got to find your own method in terms of like coming out. Sometimes I feel like if I got to come out, I was gonna leave home and then come out, because I don't think I could do face to face, only because it got so heated that it like just blurred out.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I go back, I know for a fact I don't think I could be able to sit down and look at my dad and say I'm gay. I don't think that's just not who I am. So I feel like I had to text my dad or have a phone call. That would have been easier for me. So do it in your own method, in your own way. There's no like right way to come out. It's just really important to make sure you're in a safe space. I know that you've got somewhere to go if you just need like an hour just to
diffuse your mind,
reflect your thoughts, or something like that. Just in case, basically.
And the final point we really want to talk about today, which is one that we also get messaged a lot about, is bullying.
I really wish we didn't have to talk about this, and I thought this could definitely apply to every single person, every single life. Like, everyone has experienced some sort of bullying in their life, and it
100%.
sucks to say that, but it is honestly the truth. And I feel like when you're coming out, like we said at the start of the video, you're being vulnerable, and people that are bullies will find people that are vulnerable.
They love preying on the weak and preying on people that they can kind of kick and jab when they're feeling like they're down the most. And I know we've gone through our coming out stories, and it sounded like I had the best time ever compared to what Ryan did, but really I still went through the bullying and still went through a hard time, even though I was really lucky and had a good support network around me. And I feel like the one thing that I always thought about when I felt like I was going through bullying is that I always knew in my mind that there was I was surrounded by people at school, and I knew that when I left school I would be floating away from them, because I knew there was a whole world out there. And a lot of people are so in this kind of like fishbowl effect that they can't see the world out there, because they're really stuck in the experience that they're having at the time. But I think that was a big thing that helped me, I think, when I got bullied, is just knowing that the people that are bullying me, like, they're not going to be in my life. Like, they're just not going to be there. My mind was set that I was just going to make sure that I left that kind of environment and made sure that I hopefully, at the time I was like, I really hope I find a positive one, and I just was lucky enough to get one.
And I think bullying comes from every different angle. Some people calling you a name is enough to make people really upset, and some people are just like, that doesn't bother them. Or everyone has their triggers and everyone has their breaking points. I think for me, again, mindset, because I knew that I wasn't going to be in the school, and I knew that I won't see these people. I separated myself, so I went online a lot more. I made friends online, so I used to play like Neopets and Mario Pets. And I used to be my little escape route, where I would just be able to make friends with a common interest in kind of like computer, like RPG games. So I think finding your kind of like your tribe is really, really important, because they're gonna be like your warriors, they're gonna be your shield,
100%.
they're gonna be your armor, and that could come from online, your family, your auntie, your cousins, or friends that you know you've got that are like really, really your best friends. I think I also tried like telling teachers. I also tried telling teachers and going to when I was getting bullied, going to kind of like the special teachers that like deal with this. And it worked and didn't work. Like, my dad had to get involved when I was getting bullied. And I feel like it does work, but sometimes it's not. It's really, really difficult for teachers to see everything that goes on, I feel like.
Outside of the classroom. But I feel like that is one of the big things I think that is important. Like, never suffer in silence. Like, you have to talk to people, whether it be a friend, a family member, or a teacher. If you are being bullied, like, people need to know, because those people need to be held accountable. Even if you feel like it's going to make everything so much worse, if people around you are aware that you're being bullied, because some people can be really blind to it even when it's right in front of them and they're seeing it happen, you just need to tell people. And I think the other point that I always tell everyone is there is nothing wrong with you for being you. Ever. So even if it feels like everyone is just being so mean and people are really trying to bring you down, you're honestly, there is nothing wrong with you for being you. It's they're the problem. You are not the problem. And I think that is when you can really rise above it and just remember that you are not the problem, they are. And if they've got a problem with you for you being you, it's their problem.
It's totally their problem. I think that comes on to like every person that I knew that bullied me now, and look at their life now, and they obviously were having their own battles, they had their own demons, and they're projecting their issues onto you. So they're bullying people that are being the bullies, they've got their own demons, so their way of like making themselves feel better is by picking on other people.
And as rubbish as it is, but that sometimes is the reason, and it doesn't justify it at all.
It's not, but
it's not okay.
It's not your problem.
Yeah, you are not the problem.
You. And just to wrap everything up, we're gonna give one tip each where like we really, really want to share with you guys.
And I think my biggest tip, if you could take anything away from this video, if you're sat here watching it, regardless of what you're going through right now, even if you feel like you've just watched it and you're not really needing the advice or support necessarily, just remember, whatever it is that you go through, there is nothing wrong with you for being you, because whoever you are, no matter what you are inside, who you identify as or what you identify as, there is nothing wrong with you for being you, and that should never change.
And I just want to let you guys know, my one big tip is like, whatever you're experiencing right now will pass and it will get better. So if you feel like your life is just poop and like you can't see it getting better, I promise you, like with all my heart, it will get better. Like you just gotta ride it, and I guarantee you'll come out like everything happens for a reason. You'll come out feeling so much stronger. You'll learn stuff that will then push you into such a happier place, happier path in your life. And when you get to that path, you'll look back and be like, oh my god, I'm so happy that happened. I'm so happy I got kicked out, because I feel like it led me to this.
To where you are now.
So just know that things do get better.
Sometimes you need to go through the rainiest, darkest storms to see the brightest sunshine.
And I know I hate
it sounds cringe, but it's so true.
But it's honestly so true. And just remember that you are loved. Like Matthew said, there's a whole world, there's a whole community right here that love you.
We love you. But if you did like this video, please give it a big fat thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're new and hit the notification bell. And please share this video with a friend if you feel like it could impact someone else. And we really hope this was helpful.
We really hope it was helpful. And please, if you do have any other questions, let's get a conversation and discussion going in the chat. If you feel like you've got like any questions or any advice that you would like to share, what would you, because people are going to read this video, so if you've got any discussion or any advice, drop them in the chat below and let's all just spread some love and positivity.
But we love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Really hope this helped.
Bye.